Okay, so what we'll do is go to the very first page on our Blackboard site. You'll be able to see, as no doubt many of you will know from other units, you have the announcements page. This is where I will post the relevant information, not minor details. Minor details will go to our Facebook site, but this is where I'll post the important information that you need to know on a weekly basis or in relation to significant assessment items. Okay, I'll try not to overpopulate the announcements so that you will only see the most pertinent information there. Now, on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the drop-down menu that we have. You're no doubt familiar with it in other subjects. What I will do is go through one at a time so that you can see what is in there. So we don't need to arrive on Tuesday night with you wondering how am I supposed to find the information that I need to complete my assessment tasks. All right. The very first thing, the edit mode for me is off, so what I'm looking at here is what you'll be looking at as students, is about projects. All right, so this explains to you what a project is. For those of you who have already done a project, if that was in 665, 701, 702, or perhaps in ISS 691 in previous years, then you might have an understanding already as to what is entailed within a project unit. For those of you who don't, this information will be invaluable. This will give you an idea of what is expected when you enroll in a project, and so that you don't have to come to me with a question and ask, what is a project? I don't know what that means. This will give you an explanation not only of what a project is, but of how the project units work. So you can see we have here, what is a project? How do the project units work? And mentions the administration, which is the project's coordinator, that is myself. And in this, in the way that we teach the project students for LAS, IM, and EIP, then you have one supervisor, and that is me. I'm the project's coordinator, but I'm also the supervisor for all students. You are entitled to organise your own supervision. If you do that, I would ask that you tell me who that supervisor is so that I can liaise with them in regards to your marks. Okay, we talk about supervision, we talk about working with your supervisor, and we talk about your responsibilities. Now, you'll notice under supervision and working with your supervisor, I mentioned 4 drop-in sessions. The drop-in sessions that I will speak about briefly on Tuesday night essentially are sessions that you can drop into. They'll be run from 3 o'clock until 7 o'clock at strategic points during the semester. What is strategic about those points is that they relate to assessment tasks. So rather than run it in week 2 and you have an assessment item in week 5, I'll be running it, say, in week 4 so that you can prepare in advance. Now, what will happen in those sessions is that I will be in a room. The rooms are all posted on the schedule. We'll get to the schedule later. And you'll be able to come in. You'll be able to speak to me. I will ask that, depending on the number of students, no more than 30 minutes per person. If we have a large number of students, you might be limited to 15 minutes. That means that you will need to arrive knowing what it is that you want to talk about, and having a list of questions and issues that you need me to address. Now, what you can also do is you could arrive at 3 o'clock and leave at 7 o'clock. You could sit there and work while I'm there. That means that if you're working on something and a problem crops up and there's no one else around, that you can still use that time. I will also have a Collaborate session running at that time. You'll be able to log in. We'll talk about Collaborate later. You'll be able to log in and you'll find me there. I'll also have the Facebook page open so that if for any reason you are trying to get in via Collaborate and you can't, but you would like to talk to me, then you can let me know on Facebook. Put up a little message to say that you're struggling to get into the room, but you are wanting to come in and to have a chat to me about a particular issue, so I will keep my eye open for you. Excuse me. All right, I do mention in there, as you can see, the drop-in sessions, the consultations are capped at 30 minutes. Any other questions that you have during the course of the semester that aren't personal questions? Personal questions should be sent to me via email, but just general questions about the course, about an assessment item, about a due date, post those on our Facebook group. Now, if you haven't joined our Facebook group, then you need to do that. It's an expectation that all students who are being supervised by me will be enrolled in our Facebook group. If you aren't enrolled in our Facebook group, then you will be missing out on information. The information that I post there, I won't necessarily cross-post to our Blackboard site. Now, where do I find the Facebook group? You can see here, under Working with the Supervisor, click on Information Studies Facebook page, and it takes you to this thing called Discussion Space, which has a link to our Facebook group. Okay, let's go back again. Okay, this talks about the credit points in your project, depending on whether you're MIT or MIS, whether you're IM, LAS, EIP. Tells you how many projects you're supposed to be doing and what value they are. Okay. Types of projects that you can do. You can do, if you're enrolled in a 12 credit point project, you can do a research project, a practical or applied project, or you can do a project where the sole outcome will be a literature review, systematic review, or environmental scan. That is only available for 12 credit point projects though, as you can see here, suitable for. If you're doing 24, 36, or 48 credit point projects, then you have a research or practical or practical/applied project. Those are your two options. Assessment items do vary depending on the project that you are doing. Can you do a group project? Yes, you can, but there is a limit. Okay, you must limit that to 2. You must find a group yourself, and I must approve it. Okay, and that also needs to be done before the end of first week. Classes, this is a little bit of an explanation about how classes work, how the classes work in the ISG projects. Okay, attending online classes, what to expect, how to use Blackboard Collaborate, how to use Adobe Connect if that's what we are using at the time. I typically use Blackboard Collaborate. Okay. So that's the About Projects section. The next one is Learning Materials. Now you'll notice here, Learning Materials is broken into weekly materials, how-to materials, a semester schedule, and a library resource guide. The library resource guide is a folder, but it's a directory that can take you to a resource centre for things like searching for literature reviews, methodology and methods, writing for publication. Weekly materials, you'll notice in here there's only 2. Well, that's because we're only in the second week, so I've only released the 2. Orientation week, which has just passed, there's information in there. You'll notice that's actually quite limited. That was just a little bit of information. Week 1, which is still being populated. Week 1, this tells you what you need to do. Make sure you've enrolled in your project units. Make sure you've registered for our Facebook group. Contact me by the end of this week to provide me with details about your project. What you need to do is enroll, join the group, and contact me. Read. If there's any readings that I want you to do, I'll link to them here. Basically, the reading that you're going to need to do for the first week is to read the Blackboard site. What do you need to watch? I'm going to be doing a recording. Obviously, I'm doing one at the moment, but I'll be doing another recording, which is a weekly video. Students who've done projects before will remember those, but each week I do a video which just sort of says, hi, how's everything going? This is where you should be at the moment. This is the work that's coming up. This is the work that's due. Any issues, I'll also include that in the weekly video. It's just a way for us to keep in touch because we don't have any official face-to-face classes, and it can feel a little bit disengaged at times. So this is just something where you can actually see, yes, the supervisor is actually paying attention to what I'm doing, and he still does exist. Attend if there's anything we need you to attend, as we need you to be here on the 21st of July, 6:45 to 7:15, room S304 on Gardens Point campus. You'll also notice that there is online, Collaborate Classroom. So that gives you a link to the Collaborate Classroom that we'll be using. And if you're struggling to understand how to use a Collaborate Classroom, although you will have done those many times in other units, there's a link to attending online classes. Replay. Couldn't make it to class is everything you need to catch up on. Obviously, I have to wait for the class to be finished before I can put the information in there. That's where I'll be putting it. So if you're looking for a recording of a Collaborate class, this is where you'll look for the link, okay? Go to the weekly materials, replay, and that's where it'll be. Slides. If there are slides that I decide to upload, and I'm still deciding whether or not I will upload slides, this is where you'll find them for the week that corresponds with the presentation. Anything else you need to do? Work independently, obviously. The project unit is an independent study unit. You might be doing a practical project, a research project, or as I mentioned, a literature review, environmental scan. You are working independently. I am not the one that is guiding the work that you do. Yes, if you're working for an industry partner, then they will be, to a large degree, determining the work you do. However, it is up to you to ensure that you keep up to date with the work, that you continue to work steadily throughout the semester, and that you submit your assignments on time. Okay? That's the expectation that I have, the expectation that the university has of you. Now, reflect. What is reflection? I'm asking you to take a minute and think about the position that you have now at the beginning of the semester. Think about what you know about conducting a project and what you don't know. Think about what you know about the topic that you're going to be undertaking and what you don't know about it. At the end of the semester, in your final assignment, you'll be asked to write a 500-word reflection. Now, that reflection will ask you to think back over the position you were in at the start of the semester and the position you're at the end of the semester. What weaknesses you detected in your work, what strengths you uncovered, how you'll overcome those weaknesses in the future, how you'll use those strengths, things like that. So week one is the perfect time to start reflecting critically on your position as a learner, as a researcher, and just as a general student. All right, so that's what our weekly materials look like. As I said, there's only 2 at the moment because we're only into the first week. You'll see a new one come up. Ideally, it'll be on Sunday evening. It'll crop up so you know exactly what's happening for the week to come. Okay, about projects. How to. This is information on how to manage all the components that you need to know, you need to worry about in this semester. How to enroll in your units, choose a topic and register your project, formulate a research question, design your project, write your project brief, apply for ethics approval, put your project in context. Does that mean I'm conducting a literature review or an environmental scan? Collecting data, if that's what needs to be done. Analyze your data. There will also be a couple of other sections there which deal with how to do a presentation and how to write your final report. Those ones are still being released. Okay, I'm not going to go into those. It's your job to go through and read all of those sections now. Okay, so assessment. You know what you're enrolled in. Are you enrolled in a 12 credit point unit or a 24 credit point unit? Are you doing a research project, a practical project, or a literature review, systematic review, or environmental scan? Depending on which one, you will click on the link and it will take you to a guide that explains what is involved in that particular project type. It tells you the assessment items. As you can see here, 24 credit points. There are 4 assessment items: a brief, a review or scan, a presentation, and a final report and reflection. It also gives you the weighting in terms of percentage, and it gives you the week that everything is due. For students who have done projects previously, you'll remember that we had Friday as our due dates. Those have been changed so that now to come into line with other subjects, everything is due on Sunday by midnight on the Sunday. Okay? How are they submitted? They're submitted to me directly. Everything is sent to me via email. So you upload your assignments to me. not to Blackboard, you send them directly to me. The only thing that's different is that when we do our presentations, we do them via Collaborate. Okay, we'll talk about those much later in the semester, but we do not have a day set aside where everyone comes in and presents in person. We do them all via Collaborate. Okay, you'll notice also requirements and criteria sheet, there's the assignment brief. That's the assignment brief for the individual project. For a 24 credit points practical or applied project, there's a summary of the assignments, there's the assignment brief, and there's a comment about emailing your assignments to me. Okay, once again, we have those for all of the projects. Now, we have a section here on late submissions and extensions. You might find that you need more time to do a project. You might find that something has gone wrong. This is all of the information you need to know about submitting your assignment after the due date. Okay, it tells you about QUT's policy on late assessments and extensions. See if that opens conveniently. This is the official policy, and this is the policy that we will be following. That means that if you cannot submit on time, you need to follow through that process to ensure that, you need to follow through that process to ensure that you have been granted an extension and you have been granted an official extension. I cannot give you any more time than is allocated on the assignment briefs. Okay? When you need any more time, you need to make an official application. So this section here, late submissions and extensions, this tells you exactly what it is that you need to do to get an extension for your work. We'll go back one again. Academic integrity. This explains what academic integrity is, why it's important, and how do you demonstrate it, and then most importantly, what happens if you don't demonstrate academic integrity. If you submit work that is not wholly your own, if you submit work that has not been referenced correctly, and you're claiming it as your own, then this is an issue that will fall under academic integrity. Okay, students all need to be aware of what this is. Okay, because obviously the penalties can be quite harsh if you don't observe the requirements of submitting your own work. Now, help with assessment, referencing and attribution, and group assignments. We just mentioned academic integrity, and of course one of the problems that people often fall prey to is not adequately referencing work, is submitting large chunks of work that belong to other people and haven't been adequately referenced within their assignments. This explains to you what you need to do. It talks about the APA style guides. We use APA. I think we're up to APA number 6 at the moment. It also gives you a link to areas that you can find other information. It also talks about attribution related to Creative Commons material. Okay. This is just a little bit of a section about group assignments. If you decide to do a group assignment, and as I said, you do need to have that approved by me. You also need to come to me before the end of first week to tell me that you're working as part of a group. But this is a little bit of assistance for you. It talks about how to ensure that everyone's working at the same speed, how to ensure that that you can manage the group adequately. Okay, because obviously when you have more than one person, there's always the issue that people have different schedules, and you need to implement a few techniques in order to ensure that the work gets done so it can be submitted on time. Remembering that if you're in a group, all of the work needs to be submitted by the due date. You can't submit one piece of work by the due date, but the other piece of work is not submitted on time. All work needs to be submitted by the due date, otherwise students the group itself will be penalised. Okay, here's criteria for final grades. Here's some issues about queries that you might have with your final grades. That falls under assessment. Finally, discussion space. I've talked about the I've talked about the Facebook group that we use. I'm very happy to see that most people have signed up to Facebook. I did send out an email just the other day asking people to who hadn't to sign up. I'm still waiting to see all students there, but of course, as I mentioned, I will start using that as a teaching space, and those students who have not signed up for Facebook won't be receiving the information. And if you come to me in an email and ask me questions that are on Facebook, I will direct you to enroll in Facebook and look for the question there, or look for the answers there. Okay? It just means that I can maximize the amount of time that I have to teach everyone rather than spend all of my time with one person. Okay, so that's our discussion space. This is a section about the contacts, so that's me. It tells you where I'm located on campus. It is Gardens Point campus, Y701. That is the Y block, and I'm up on level 7. It says Skype code access only. That means that if you are going to meet with me, you will not be able to access the building. You will have to wait for me to come downstairs so I can bring you up with me. I'm on campus Monday to Friday, but that does not mean I am available all day, every day, Monday to Friday. Okay, it is by arrangement with between you and I. Now, Collaborate Classroom. Well, that's not going to open up because I'm actually doing Collaborate at the moment. That is a rundown on our Information Studies Projects classroom. So that gives you, that's a rundown on the Blackboard site that we use for information projects. It's only a brief rundown. I'm expecting you to go in and read every single section so you can familiarise yourself with the sections. We have created this in a way that you can follow the project process from thinking of a topic to creating a question to writing your project brief, or I should say writing your design document and then writing your project brief, submitting your assignments and then submitting your final assignment, and how to write those assignments. Every single step of the way has been mapped out for you, but it's all here in Blackboard. All right, okay, I'll leave that now. That's a rundown on the Blackboard site. That means that we won't have to do this in our very brief 30-minute class.